welcome to Wicked Women. It's Sunday, the 29th of March, just a little bit after 9 o'clock. I'm coming to you live from South London. How's everyone doing? It's been a few weeks since Wicked Women has been here. Very good reason for that. I actually didn't end up going to Canada. I have had to take care of my mum. She's had quite a few falls and she's not doing too well. And it's been pretty stressful time, pretty stressful. So something had to go, and I got sick as well. So it was the podcast. But, you know, tonight we're live, we're back, and we are here for one night only. No, we're here tonight to bring you a really good show. It's been a month, a really shitty month for so many people. A lot of sickness, a lot of ill health, a lot of crap, a lot of stress. So I hope wherever you're watching this and when you're watching this, your life's doing a lot better. But, you know, here at Wicked Women, we like to give you a good show. We have a really good show tonight. Now, I'm going to, before I bring my partner in crime in for this evening and my other podcast husband, 20 years ago, this month, I was about to get married in Calgary, Alberta. Big decision, big, huge. Never regretted it. And this week, it was, 20th anniversary of when it would have been. And even though we're no longer together, I can look back and say I don't regret any of it. And great memories, although lots of pain and sadness after, obviously, our marriage ended. So given the fact that I was doing this reflecting, there's a lot of people out there who have gone through a divorce, going through a divorce, thinking about going through a divorce. And it's one thing that we've talked about marriages ending and stuff like that, but we've actually never done a topic on divorce. And I just thought, yeah, let's do this. Stay to the end of the program. We've got lots of news about April. April's a good month, but I'm going to bring in my fellow host for the evening from Virginia, the lovely and very handsome Michael. How are you doing, sweetheart?
Just making sure all the ham radios was turned off, because by the time he was bringing me in, I heard them going off. I was like,
"Oh, I surprised you."
Yeah, like I said, we're hanging in there. Like I said, we just want Mom to get better. Wendy has the day shift. I usually have the night shift, because she's went through a divorce. You know what I'm saying? And then she had a very good partner that was with her for a long time, and he passed.
Okay.
And you never know how far down the road that this can affect you. And
absolutely, it can hit any time. I must apologize if you hear any noises in the background. It's my stuff. He's not been feeling too well. The cat was sick really as well this week, so we're having to keep an eye on them and what's going on. Michael, you and I talked about this subject earlier on this week, and we talked about the fact that I was talking to you about the fact that 20 years ago I got married, and I couldn't believe that 20 years had gone past in a flash, in a heartbeat. And you look back and you go, wow, when we got married, there was all the hopes and possibilities of what could happen, because as the old saying goes, I'm just checking my boy behind me, marriage is for life, the wedding's for one day.
When we was talking about that, I'm thinking, maybe I remember one of my weddings was in April and the other one was in October. So, not really a summer type wedding. And I think I can remember one day out of the four.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, and I was like, damn, it must be a woman thing. Because, when I got rid of it, I was done with it. I was like, I'm not keeping track of this. I paid a lawyer real good money not to have to put up with this or think about this woman no more.
I'm so sorry about this. He's just trashing something behind it. Come on, can't eat that. And I don't want him eating that. So if I disappear, it's over to you. About it, none of us get married to get divorced, do we? Let's be honest.
When you get divorced, you get a dog. Wendy has the Bassets, and I have the pit bull. always told them, take about the hour, cuddle with the dog. The dog never complains about what you watch on TV or YouTube or how late you come in or if you want to sleep in or if the grass don't get mowed. Get a dog. It's cheaper. And then
I just had to like sort him out. He's outside now. Let's look at it because, as I said, you and I have a couple of marriages between us. Been there, done it, ticked it off, and I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I wrote some notes for this. But it's like, looking back, divorce didn't arrive just like that. It came along really, really quickly, but very, very quietly. Like, all of a sudden, it's like someone just comes up and says to you, I don't do this anymore. I don't love you anymore. I want to separate, or I don't want to do this. And the next thing you know, if you weren't expecting that, it can just floor you. It can pull the carpet from underneath you. And on top of that, if there were issues and there were problems, one of you might just think, okay, well, I knew there was issues, but I didn't expect it. The word divorce is so final, isn't it? It's so hard.
Yeah, and if you're in a bad relationship or a bad marriage, it's a word that you come to cherish and look for. I know mine was complicated. One of mine was annulled, which made the other two invalid, which we found that out when we did my passport. The lady's like, oh, we didn't send the paperwork back to Vital Records. I was like, what about this, and this, and this? And she's like, well, you're not married and you're not divorced. I said, well, what the fuck am I? Well, we don't know. Don't use that language. I'm like, lady, you're talking about criminal charges for either one or both. I said, and it was something of none of my own doing. You ask Wendy, I was losing my mind because this woman was like, oh, I was like, well, where's the lady at? Well, she retired. Well, where's she at now? Oh, she died. I'm like, so there's no repercussion against a woman who should have filed the paperwork. And that's like I told Wendy, I said, here in the States, one thing you can always count on is a government official. If they don't know what to do, they do nothing. And they kick the can on down the road for somebody else to deal with it. And this poor little woman had just took over in the circuit court. And I asked her, I said, how can we fix it? She's like, I don't know. And she was petrified. Then and I know Wendy remembers, I went across the street to the prosecuting attorney. I was like, look, she's like, and she treated me like I was the bad guy. And I'm like, no, I'm the victim. And she's looking at me. I'm 6
foot really 3. Shocked, aren't you? You're really shocked to find out.
And, but remember, the lady was just such a bitch when I showed over. She's like, well, I don't know what you're doing. I'm like, look, it was her. It wasn't me. Are you sure? And, it goes back. And
I am.
I'm like, holy shit. And that's another thing about divorce. Used to here in the States, especially in a lot of states, the man went into a divorce. He was behind the 8 ball as quick as he went in. It had to be the man's fault. And even if it was like a male judge, male attorneys, and the woman would come in and they're like, well, what did he do? And same way with child support or whatever, and all that. That's what you got to look at is the child support aspect, the alimony or palimony, they call it. I would tell any of my sons or even my daughter, get a prenup. Prenups are good in divorces. And we're talking about the ring left behind. And I remember it was here a while back, and I cannot remember his name. He was a well-known country music singer. He told his wife he wanted a divorce. And she shot him, and now his pinky's like all fucked up. And he took their wedding rings and he had them melted down and put around his neck. And they asked him, why do you wear them around your neck for? He said, every time I get up and look at this, it's a reminder. Women are crazy. And if you tell them you're done, they will shoot you. And I cannot remember what one, but he's a
crazy.
Tracy, I can't remember I can't remember who it is, but I can see his face. He's got real long hair and he's gonna, but yeah, he was like, they're like, well, what are you wearing at her? And he's like, I was thinking about that also. I'm thinking, now, quick as I figured out I didn't have to work no more. You sell it for the price of the gold. Go get you a 6-pack. Just wear it out. But
let's look at that, because obviously the two countries are very, very different. I mean, over in the UK, we've now got the no fault divorce, so you can get divorced very, very quickly. Before, you'd have to wait literally between 6 months to a year, maybe, and how we do it is that obviously you have to file for divorce, give your reasons. There's only really 2 reasons to get a divorce that in the UK legally. One is adultery, and the other one is was actually mental cruelty. But now they've brought in the no fault divorce, so you can just start the divorce. There's no blame. The thing is, we have to go through the divorce, and then we have the degree nisi sent out to you, the degree nisi, and 6 weeks later, if none of you change that, you get the degree absolute, and that is when you are divorced. And the thing is, looking back to my divorce, the first time I got divorced, I was looking at I don't even know how it came up in conversation. I think it was the fact that we'd got married, we'd been together a long time, we'd got married. I wasn't in probably in the right state. Actually, I wasn't ready to be a wife, and I think that we loved each other, we grew apart, wanted different things at different times, and we were really good friends. We had the most friendliest divorce going, and we when we divorced, we're still friends now. The second one, very, very different, very different. 6 years later, 6.5 years later, actually, met someone, wanted to build the rest of my life, the life that we'd built together, and all the things that we were about to do, suddenly went within. I'm going to stop you if you're sniffing. It's like, I'm not sniffing.
That's it. I'm not. I have such Claritin and everything else. I apologize. It's just I don't know if I don't know if I'm just run down or what. But
that's okay. The life you built together suddenly splits into 2 paths. And I remember it was 10 o'clock at night. I was not too well, and I'd been staying at my mom's, and literally I got a text message that said, I don't want this anymore. I want a divorce. And I just didn't know how to respond to that. And then it was like, well, we won't divorce. What we'll do is we'll separate, and we'll date again, and we'll go to mediation. And in the end, mediation, we went to mediation, and he just said no, he wanted a divorce. And I said, fine, okay, let's do it. And I petitioned him for it. He never signed the divorce papers. And for somebody who wanted a divorce, I don't know why he didn't sign the divorce papers. But in the end, I had to go to 2 different lawyers, sign affidavits, and the divorce was granted.
That don't make no sense. When you ask for something, then you refuse to sign. I'd be like, fuck, bud. It was your ideal. If you didn't want a divorce, why would you bring it up? And sometimes I think people throw that out really quick. It's like, I'll give an ultimatum. And there's a lot of times that, I know I've seen it on Reddit, these women come in and tell their husband, well, I want to test him. I want to play a game. And they play a game, they're like, well, if you don't do this and this, well, we'll get divorced. And the guys are like, okay, but send it. And next thing they know, they're like 45 years old, and they've hit the wall. And they're like, but I had such a good marriage. But my friend who was single, that is, very unhappy, told me I needed to test him. And now, and I'm thinking, misery loves company. And if you're happy in your marriage and you got a single friend out there that's putting bullshit in your ear, man or woman, tell them to go get fucked, because, misery loves company. And I have seen story after story of that, because I read some of the stories, because I sit there, keeping one eye on mom at night. And, and I'm looking at this. And I see the key thing is a lot of these stories that these women put out, and most of them, and it's more on the woman's side. They're like, well, my friend told me that I could do better, or I could do this. And next thing you know, she's wondering, well, where did this man go that was paying the mortgage, that was paying my car payment, who was, paying all the groceries? Oh, it's so hard today. You can ask Wendy, you can ask me. After you get our age,
yeah,
it's like you're going to the discount bin trying to find the less fucked up toy that's left, that don't have no issues, that don't smell like shit. And these people implode their marriages, and I have seen so many of that these people listen to outside sources, and they implode their marriage. And I know kind of the background of Wendy's divorces. I mean, hers. We've talked about mine, and it was. I said that to get to this. No, I can understand if I've done something or the partner's done something, but to have a third wheel come in and explode your marriage, I don't think I'd be friends with her no more or him. You know, if as a guy, you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. The third wheel, and we'll come to that.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a bit of a background. So when someone says, I don't want you, or I don't want this anymore, I want a divorce, you grieve, you go through grief. Sometimes you can both sit down and you can both turn around and say to somebody, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, and you both agree, and the divorce is a happy one. But mostly, and pretty much predominantly, probably more, is of a divorce where it's more painful, and one side is grieving, and you do go through. It's like I remember my mum once saying to me, "I'd rather have lost your dad to death than to another person because it hurt even more." Because you grieve the memories, you grieve the person, and you grieve the version of yourself that existed when you were with that person. And you also grieve for the things that we really wanted to do this. We were going to do that. We were going to achieve this. You know, all the hopes and dreams that you wanted to do, because it's about divorce isn't just about what happened. You know, why we're getting divorced. It's about also what is not going to happen now. Because you get married, you've got all these dreams. We're going to do this together. We're going to spend all this time, you know, all the dreams. And you think about the conversations that you never finished. One of you perhaps was putting more into the effort and someone wasn't. And also about, when did it change? When did you decide? What day, a moment did you decide that you didn't want me? And you didn't love it. Then reality starts to hit you. It really starts to hit you, and you're like, you know, pardon my expression, like you said earlier on, fuck, you know, the financial side, the dividing of everything, figuring out, you know, I'm now on my own sim.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, when I started looking on Reddit through the divorce things, and like I said, that's the reason that, you know, it's kind of fresh in my mind. It's like all of these, and you read these stories, and it's like a bad sitcom, and it's like, I'm like, and you know, and I look back, and I'm thinking, you know, wonder if any of my divorces had somebody on the outside putting shit in her ear or whatever, and I'm like, you never know. I don't talk to them anymore, so that's a question that will have to be left unanswered, because I'm not going to call them up and ask them, hey, did you have somebody put something in your ear? Because I'm to the point in my life now, I don't give a shit. But
you also had children, right? Because when you go through a divorce and there's no
separate the kids, you know, separate the dogs, you know, and make sure everybody gets a fork, a spoon, and a knife.
If it's not just, you know, when you're splitting up from someone, it's not just your heart, it's your children who are involved as well. Different weekends, different roles, different two homes. You know, when you're like this, when you're like that. Now, when my parents divorced, I didn't have that. My dad didn't have a home, so he was staying in a room somewhere going back in, what year was it? 77. I
was going to ask you how many years, because I know your mom was with her partner for long. But even that, you know, me being as involved, you know, with like talking to her and stuff like that.
They divorced in 77 after 19 years.
So,
but I don't remember, literally, I don't remember like going to his home and then he got with another girlfriend. But for me, it was like they moved out. They signed the flat over to me. And it was like, oh my God, you know, what am I going to do? And where am I going to go with this? And then I realized how, you know, I got really angry. And I got really hurt. And I was like, how fucking dare you do this to me? When did you decide? After all the promises we made to each other? Because when you say vows to someone, unless you're sort of willy-nilly with it, those vows mean something, you know, and it's like, don't fucking say them if you're not going to follow through. But because everyone can change their mind and things happen come along in a relationship, and some free will just fall apart, right?
But the reason I was asking Helen, because and I'm not going to put too much out there, but there was some things that popped up the other day, and I thought some of the hatred and the what's the word I'm looking for, just being jaded towards this person would fade with years and time and water under the bridge. But from what I see, somebody's mannerisms can
Oh,
flare
yes.
up an old memory, and like I said, I'm not going to. But anyway, very lovely lady, and she's like, I don't like her. Her mannerism reminds me of the woman that my husband left me. I'm
And
like,
that's understandable, right?
and I'm like, wow. So it never fades, and I'm thinking, holy shit, And I'm like, oh, but she's lovely. Nope, nope. Basically, fuck her.
But also, like, the thing about there's a stigma of going through a divorce. There's also like a stigma of people going, what? So when it's your second divorce, it was like, so why did the first marriage fail? Then why did the second one go? And the common denominator is you. And you have to look at yourself and you go, what did I do that maybe contributed to that? Or what didn't I do? And so you have to go through quite a lot. And for me, I was left with everything. There was no financial settlement. There was no support. They were just gone. They were just gone, and I had to take care of everything, and I had to sort everything out and put it in my name. And in the end, it felt like I was abandoned. It felt like, and I was abandoned at my weakest moment. I was quite
financially, emotionally, all of it.
And I was abandoned. And literally, you go, surely when I was at my weakest point, you could have waited till I was back on my feet and at least had more, strength to deal with this. No, they took the most vulnerable moment, some might say the coward way out to leave.
That's what I was thinking.
When do you know it's really over with someone? Well, Michael, when you know it's over is when you don't fancy them anymore. You don't find them sexually or physically attractive. You don't like them. You're arguing all the time. You're maybe not sleeping together. You look at them and you just think, I want to suffocate you. I don't want to be with you anymore.
That's when I told Wendy here with all this taking care of mom. I said, it seemed like we share custody of one brain cell, and neither one of us has full custody of it. But that's what I was thinking. I said, instead of you snuggling them, you want to snuggle them with a pillow over their face. That's just what popped in my mind. But it's over when you'd rather suffocate a snuggle. I'm like,
you're like, just go away. Stop talking to me. You quite know. And also you can feel really alone in that relationship. You can feel like, I might be married, we might be husband and wife, but I feel really alone in this relationship. And
my mom had a saying, she'd always say, when you feel more enraged than engaged with the person,
sure,
it's time to walk away. Because I asked her in one of mine, I told her, I said, Mom, I said, sometimes when she speaks, I said, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I said, she makes me physically sick when she opens her mouth. And what it was, he was always bickering, could never do nothing right, never a positive word. So when I say that, but every time that she opened her mouth, I knew something negative was going to come out of it directed towards me. All of her faults was my fault. And it's like, and my faults was my fault. If the kids didn't do something right, it was my fault.
Sure. And, I get it. I mean, I understand that completely, because there's a thing about, do I stay with someone for too long? Also, are we doing it just for the kids, or am I out of love with you? And I think the hardest thing to hear from someone, I don't love you anymore. I'm not in love with you. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. It's not you, it's me. Let's make it as easy as possible for each other. You take this, I'll take that. And it got to a point where you're actually thinking to yourself, I feel betrayed. I feel abandoned. I feel like grieving. I've just watched the person I love, who I've spent all these years with, walk out on me. Whether that be a woman, whether that be a guy, the kids could be there going, where's dad going? Where's mum going? It's also the financial shock of like, I've got to do this all on my own now. And then there might be the relief. Maybe your relationship was actually toxic. Maybe it was violent. Maybe it was aggressive. And so it's a good thing that you guys are splitting up. However, you'll still go through those what if questions. Quite right, Steve. The what if questions. What if we could have changed this? What if I could turn it around? And if children are involved, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of pressure. And quite frankly, when I came out of my divorce, it took me, I'd say, probably 2 years before I absolutely felt, I actually felt more like myself. I don't know about you, but the first year, even though I actually met someone in 2011, I wish I'd met them a lot later than that, but we met in 2011, and they said to me at the time, I wish I'd met you down the road because I feel like I'm the rebound relationship where you get over the marriage and husband. They weren't the rebound relationship, but they were right as in the point, as in I hadn't come to terms and with I was still hurting and quite angry. So for me, Michael, I mean, I know you've been married a little bit, a little bit more than me, but the thing is, when you come out, do you tell yourself, I failed? I absolutely failed, or we failed? What was your story going through your head?
Yeah. What really broke my heart, and I think I've told this before, my grandparents was married forever, like 65 years when my grandmother passed. And when I realized that I would never have a marriage as long as my grandparents did, I'm thinking all these kids put up with them all these years, I will never have that kind of relationship. And you do feel like you're down, and you grieve for a relationship, just like when losing a person. There's what is like 7 stages of grief: denial, enrage. Then you start coming to the terms, and you start bartering. And that's like I told Scotty on the show. I'm like, look, dude, you need to do an assessment of the trauma that you've had from your marriage. You need to sit down and do a trauma assessment, because right now you're in a part of your grieving process that it makes you mad and loud. Oh, no, I'm ready to get, no, you're not. And I've told another friend, he's in a relationship, and a lot of things happen. Oh, it reminds me of my ex-wife. I said, look, dude, you're less than 2 years out of a divorce. That's 700 days. You need more time to process this.
Absolutely.
How do you know? Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. And I'm like, trust me, you're jaded where you want to be or not. You got raw emotions. A lot of men's like, oh, that's way to get over one's getting under another. That's a rebound. Then you're just kind of masking over the trauma and the stuff that you need to do. Which, if you want to go out and get drunk with your buddies and run through all the village play toys, that's fine. But you're going to bring something home you can't wash off. And you're just going to have more trauma to deal with later, because then you're putting more onto it. And I have learned being older in life now, sometimes it's just better to go ahead and process the trauma before you move on. Because, and you can move on way too soon. And they're like, well, I wonder why that one didn't work. They're like, what was it? Elizabeth Taylor married like 9 times or something another. She's like
7.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I just replace them.
I think some people can't be without a person.
No.
And that's the thing I was about to say. I don't think it's a good thing to go from one marriage or one relationship straight into another, because it doesn't give you time to, like you say, process the trauma, because there is trauma when you go through the end of a marriage. It's almost like, if you've been in a situation like you were, where it was very traumatic, it was very stressed. The first night that you leave or they left, there's that calm. There's that calm, no tension in the room, and you realize how much you were holding the stress. You realize how much you're like, oh my God, I absolutely can breathe for one moment. But I personally don't believe dating straight away after you come out of a marriage or a divorce is a good thing to go at all, because at the end of the day, what can you bring? What can you bring to the new person if you are, still screwed up of the other one? Let's talking about a celebrity marriage. Let's look at a very, very famous divorce, that of Princess Diana and King Charles the Third, as he is known now. Everybody knows the story. There were three of us in this relationship, so it was a bit crowded. And there you have a younger woman, older guy, intense public scrutiny, very much emotional disconnections, infidelity. And she became more powerful after the divorce. She became into her power. But the pain that must have cost them, because everything they did was in the public arena, so all the divorce details and everything, I mean, very painful.
And we've talked about that, and a lot of the things that was done after her divorce and her death was, I think, out of spite and vengeance from the family. And that's another thing, when you get divorced, then you got to separate the friends and the family, because this person has become intertwined. And with that,
and that can be hard when there's kids.
That's it. Because, I want to go see aunt or uncle's this, or I want to go see grandpa over here, or grandma, or nan, or whatever. And it's like, you're looking around, it's like, oh, why don't uncle such and such come around no more? Or why don't aunt, why can't they be here?
It's really hard on the kids.
Yeah, then you got to sit there and explain it. And I couldn't talk about Princess Diana. The reason I said that is now, she had the heir to the throne and the spare, as Harry calls himself. And, until she died, she was always going to be known as the future king's mother.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know, and I try to be careful about what I say, because I don't want to get Wendy in trouble in the UK. But now, with everything that's going on, William's going to step up, and I say he'll be king, or he will come to the throne sooner than later. And I really like to see him right some of the wrongs that was happened in the divorce between King Charles and his mother. I'd like to see her get, what is it, HH?
I think what he'll do is, once he becomes king, he will reinstate his mother's HRH, Her Royal Highness.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Mother, and in future, the king's grandmother, a future King George. And I think that, in a way, she had the last laugh, because at the end of the day, her children are on the throne. The thing about Diana is that, you remember the very famous interview she did, and she said, I don't want to get divorced, but we need clarification. And the thing is, sometimes you have to part from someone, and you have to go, look, we're just dragging this out. We can't move on, because because sometimes, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never wanted to date someone who is technically married to someone else still.
It's messy. It's messy. It is. But I know I'm all over the place tonight. Like I said, between the cold medicine and the lack of sleep, it's not a good combination for Michael. But when I first met Wendy on Val's show, was talking about the dark history of England. I said, the king that rewrote the Bible, give us the King James Version, because it was not politically correct anymore to lop the heads off his wife. So he come up to the church and said, look, we need to invent divorce so I can get rid of her and get a different wife. And that's one of the things I remember. Wendy reminiscing back until, it was like the wedding photos and all that. And I'm thinking, I look at the dark things, and that's the difference between like how women think and men, process stuff differently. And I always said, was it women are from Venus and men are from Mars? But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, this divorce thing, like I said, I've got a few more than her, but like I said, and I tell him, with all of these years and all of these things that I've been through, it has taught me very, very serious lessons. And I try to tell, younger guys and sometimes girls, I'm like, trust me, you don't want to go down this road. It's full of heartbreak. It's full of financial responsibilities. And it, it's full of a bunch of other shit you probably don't want to have to deal with. Take an old man's advice. Don't be stupid. And what do? They're still stupid.
Yeah, but you see, I have to agree with you there, because I see what your point is, and Rapid obviously put something there. He was stupid enough to marry in the first place. I think, you have to look at it in a very much bigger picture than that. When you meet someone and you love them and you get married, you do it for whatever, hopefully the right reasons. Now, if you continue to marry and marry and marry, like my next divorce subject, and not learn from it, then yes, you could say you're stupid. But if you get married and you try it and it doesn't work and you give it all, you walk away and you go, well, at least I tried. And let's talk about that, because you brought up something very, very historic. Henry VIII, of course, is well known to have had 6 wives. But let's look at the first one, which everyone talks about, Anne Boleyn, but we're going to talk about Catherine of Aragon. Catherine of Aragon had been his loyal wife for 17 years. She had given him 12 children, although only one survived. Poor woman. She was always pregnant or losing. And he decided that he was not going to get a son and he wanted a divorce. And he broke with the Catholic Church of Rome to do so. He was going to get a new wife and he was going to get a son from a new wife, and he wanted her gone. And she said, no, you're not going to divorce me. It's not going to happen. And I take my case to Rome. He knew that, it was either she was never going to do it. So what he did is that he got rid of the church and became the head of the Church of England and brought in divorce. So he was the one person who changed it all and let divorces carried on ever since. But the thing is, she kept saying to him, I'll die your wife. She did die from a broken heart, it looks like, or cancer of the heart. Because when they took her heart out, it was black and it was quite damaged. So he went through another 5 wives. 2 he murdered. I mean, you can't say he killed, he murdered them. 2 wives he murdered, and 2 outlived him. So literally, looking back there, I mean, his way to deal with it, I don't want to be with this person, let's get rid of them, find me a reason to get rid of them. Adultery, witchcraft, incest, whatever you want to use, he used to get rid of them. And let's look at another one that we're talking about, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Now, everybody remembers Brad when he got with Jennifer Aniston. They were a beautiful couple, blonde, blue eyes, in love, etc., etc. And along came the film Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie. Now, I'm sure if I was married to Brad Pitt, he came home and said, honey, I'm about to do a film with Angelina Jolie, I'd have been on that set every day, because she's known to be femme fatale, very beautiful, very productive woman. And obviously that's what very much happened, didn't it?
What was it? Brangelina? Ain't that what they called them? Brangelina or something other. After they got together.
Brangelina, yeah.
But that happens. That happens quite a bit, because you hear a lot of infidelity between star and co-star or whatever, and it's like, and you put them in an intimate setting. They're kissing or whatever. They're having love scenes, and that would have to be hard for a spouse, and it probably would question how loyal they are to you, or if there's infidelities, and it would really test your intimate connection with that person. And I've heard the term emotional affair or emotionally cheating. Is it emotionally cheating or an emotional affair that you could go in front of a court and say, look, my husband or wife had a really spicy love scene with X, Y, or Z. I think they're not emotionally available for me now. I want a divorce.
You can just show them the movie, can't you?
That's it. And it's like, and but in their defense, devil's advocate be like, but I got paid $10 million to bump and grind and look like I was really into him. I fake it well.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's like you said, you're basically filming your own crime. And trust me, nobody wants to do that. But But no, I've often wondered about that, and you bring that up, and like I said, and that's where my mind goes. It's like if then if it goes on down the road, like you said, you leave one, you end up with the other one, and you go to court and say, look, right here's where it started. That is not how you do a camera kiss or whatever. They're really laying it in. And like I said, how does, like I said, you're family your own crime, but that happens a lot. And it seems like how, and it goes
Well,
back.
the thing is, I mean, look at Brad and Angelina. They divorced anyway. And it was quite a bit of divorce. I mean, it made his divorce to Jennifer Aniston look like a piece of cake because they just divorced. And even now the children have taken off the pits. There's only one of his children that actually has kept the pit name. Everyone else has removed them. And we have to look at the other one, which is very famous. It was in all in the courts. It was on social media. Was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I mean, that was a very messy, painful, abusive relationship that basically
on multiple continents.
I mean, just everything, right? And I think the thing is as well, when you look at Madonna, Guy Ritchie, another one, clash of identities, personalities, two different worlds, two strong personalities. It wasn't really going to go anywhere. So my point is, you're going to get divorced. How do you get over it? How do you get over a divorce? And well, first of all, you take your time. There is no rush. There's no rush to get over a divorce. Some days you'll feel good. Other days you'll feel absolutely crap. And you didn't fail. You tried. And the thing is, as long as you can say to yourself, I gave it my best shot, that's the first step.
Steve said divorce can really become a war.
It can.
Yeah. And you go from sharing a bed and your most intimate feelings and thoughts to wanting the other person to be hit by a bus.
Because you've lost your friend. I mean, what if you were friends before you were lovers, or what if you were great lovers as well as friends? Literally, you've just lost them.
Yeah, my mom always said there was a thin line between love and hate. You can go from really loving somebody to really loving their demise and hating every step they take.
Yeah.
And it's really a sticky wicket, because there's like I said, Amber, Johnny and Amber, multiple continents. It was from the United States to the UK, back and forth, and you had everybody with the camera stuck in their face. And that is publicized, and all of their dirty stuff came out. He'd get drunk, he passed out, she had a bowel movement in the bed, and there's no secrets left that happened inside that home that was not publicized. And it didn't make either one of them look really good. And so that when he said it become a war, it's like all the dirt comes out, and it's like boom, 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 and they stack it on.
Now you've got like social media where everyone puts it.
Absolutely. And it's like, holy fuck.
And I'm going to say this, I don't understand why people put their dirty washing on social media. I don't think we need to know the ins and outs of someone's marriage. I don't think we need to know the ins and outs of someone's divorce. It's a personal thing. It should be a private thing between two people. And if someone does put it out there, I have to actually say, what are your reasons for doing it? You can, and in the past, we've all been guilty of putting things out there. We've been reactive or responsive, but as older, we should get a lot wiser. And if there's children involved as well, they don't want to see their parents slagging off each other or slagging off one of them.
But even with theirs, it was not only just on social media, but it was on the record, put on TMZ. It was put on everything, because people get off on celebrity news, and they want to hear, what was it, Huey Lewis in the news, dirty laundry. They wanted to hear all the dirty laundry that came out. And I tell them, I don't do it. And I tell a lot of people, be careful of on how high of a pedestal you put your heroes. And people have looked up to like baseball players, football players, movie stars. They're supposed to be that celebrity that you, whatever. And you come out and they put all of this on all these things, because you couldn't turn the TV on. You couldn't turn on Facebook, any news channel. This is the 11th day of Johnny telling, what a kind of shitty person she was. And she countered.
Yeah.
And then it's like, holy shit,
It's a war. I mean,
it is. And
it's a war. And I don't think because you're so emotionally responsive,
yeah.
because you're going through all these feelings of anger and grief and hurt, and you're then pouring that out there, that when you actually step back and look at it and go, oh, actually, I shouldn't have put that out there, you can't take it back. The thing is, you miss the routine, you miss the familiarity. No more we, it's I. Do you miss the person, or rather the life you thought you were going to have? There's a good question. Are you missing that person or the life you thought you'd had? And what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you like? What do you want to do with your house? Do you want to decorate it? Do you want to go on holiday? Do you want to buy new stuff?
Be right back.
It's okay. You're starting from scratch. Absolutely. You're starting from scratch. And often people say when they're going through a divorce, the hardest moments are the quiet evenings, the weekends, the holiday times, Christmas, the first birthday. We used to be together. We would be doing this by now. So it's almost like bringing a new routine in of what you used to do with them. Now you've got to do something as well with yourself. Just so you know, this is going to be an hour tonight, Wicked Women, because I have to get and see my mum. So while Mike was doing this, I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us as well. But the thing about when you're going through a divorce, don't isolate yourself too much. See your friends, go and talk to people. Put yourself out there, literally, become a little butterfly if you can. And, if you want to go into therapy, if you want to talk to someone, do it. At the end of the day, if you need to go on holiday and if you need to get under someone else, or whatever you need to do, because it's healthy and not toxic, this is what, these are all little things that you can do. Stop checking your phone. Stop checking social media. Don't keep replaying conversations. What did they mean by that? What did they mean? Because we all do that. Start enjoying your own space and realizing that peace and less toxic area feels much better than chaos ever did. You don't get over a divorce. Let's just put it this. You never get over a divorce. You outgrow the version that you were when you were in something that wasn't right. I mean, I look back and the first one, probably not so much, but the second one, I can definitely know I was in a situation where I didn't want to give up because I felt like I was failing and I didn't want to, go down that road. But I was actually in something that wasn't, I wasn't in a relationship as it should be, because unfortunately there was issues that.
What did I tell you? My first 4 was just practice marriages. I'm waiting for the right one. I had to get the bad ones out of the way first.
Well, that's quite a lot of battles.
Yeah. A lot of practice. But anyway, you know what they told me in the Army? You keep running the same routine till you get it right.
Here's a saying for you. This divorce didn't end me. It showed me who I really was.
Yeah, it showed me what I was putting up with.
Much about myself in this situation that, I'm a different person. I mean, I look back, Michael, and I actually think I am glad I went married and divorced. I'm a different person. I don't regret either of them. They changed my life for the better in so many ways. I wish I could take away some of the pain and hurt. But we can't do that. And I was just saying while you were out of the room, this is going to be a very short Wicked Women tonight. We literally just came back to do an hour show because you and I are not feeling great, and also we have to check on my mum as well. So
I've got her pulled up here, and for everybody, like I said, Steve and Carlene and a few of the others know that we are trying to keep an eye on Mom, that she's not doing well, and I'm looking right now, and bless her, she's asleep with her cat and her teddy bear.
That's a good thing.
And like I said, I'll never tell her that.
I have been sick this week with this throat infection, and the medicine is just horrible, and you've not been well yourself. So we wanted to come back tonight. It was a topic that we just wanted, because on reflection to talk about. We will be back in April, which is next week. We have some great shows coming.
You want to give a little preview? You got one of the previews up. It says,
yeah, one of the previews
the
is
love
already
it, the love it stayed, and a little background was there was several women who the only thing they had left was their pet. I think most of them was dogs because we're all dog people, which we both own a cat, but we're kind of closer to our dogs. Well, I am, but anyway, because my cat don't like me, I'm just there to feed her in the pure litter box.
Well,
But
I just want to I want to say, like, I'm sorry it's really short tonight, but I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are gonna finish early today because literally not feeling well, but we wanted to be here for you guys. We will pick up this subject as well again, and probably bring it into another podcast. But please come back and join us. Hopefully next week we'll be feeling a lot better and a lot fitter.
Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell somebody you like, tell your ex-wife, tell your ex-husband, tell them put a bit of wicked in them. Well,
it's Sunday. You've got to have a bit of wicked. And the thing is, life is very difficult right now. Like before everything that's just happened, it was a lot easier, but I'm trying to deal with sick cat, sick dog, sick mom. I'm sick. And it's just like we wanted to do it because we've been gone for a couple of weeks. We wanted to just pop in and say hi. So I really hope you all have a wonderful. We've never finished Wicked Women so early, but I really hope when you look at the subject, you will realize that you're going to rebuild your life, a different version of yourself, something stronger, something better. Everything happens for a reason. And by God, do we learn the hard way on that one.
What is it? It's not us, it's them. Yeah, that's what you say. It's not us, it's them. That's always their issue. But no,
I'm going to bring up the closing. Sorry, Michael, I've got to bring in because I've got a message here. I've got to go. But literally, thanks, guys, for joining us. We will see you all next week. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great Sunday afternoon, evening, and please come and join us next week. Thank you, Michael. Mwah. See you soon, guys. Bye.
See you.